You are listening to All Burgundy Gold Errrything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM, 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia. I'm George Templeton, and I'm here to bring you through the pregame for the Commanders in Minneapolis to take on the Minnesota Vikings. Wole and Glen are not with us. Before we start, let's get through our particulars real quick. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all our other fine podcast platforms. Just search All Burgundy and Gold Errrything, 3 R's. Hit us up on X, IG, and TikTok at All Burgundy and Gold Errrything, 3 R's. Also like our All Burgundy and Gold Errrything Facebook page. And remember, if you're here on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe to the All Burgundy and Gold Errrything YouTube chat. If you're in the YouTube chat, we accept super chats. They support this show, and they will be prioritized. Our pregame is also streaming on the Urban Sports Scene's X handle as well. Now, let's get into our tradition, the pregame. This is what we're going to be talking about. We are going to chat with Bowie TV's Commanders reporter, Candi Waller. She'll be joining us live from U.S. Bank Stadium. We'll also talk about the keys for the Commanders' victory and predictions, and we will also give you your fantasy football selection for the day. Before I bring Candi in, let me just say hello to everybody that's in the chat. DC Slim, Santiago. We love having you guys here. Hello to everybody in the chat. Now, let me bring on the Cracker Jack reporter for Bowie TV, who covers the Commanders so well. I almost said Redskins. Sorry about that. And she's there in Minneapolis for us as always. We are so thrilled and honored to have her every week. Candi Waller, you can follow her. CWall, CEO CWall, I think on Instagram. CWall SE on X. Candi, welcome to All Burgundy and Gold Errrything. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. If you hear anything in the background, because I know there's always often background noise, it is because I am inside the stadium. And the way this stadium is, the press box, we're like in the stadium. You know, some of these are like that. You know, here it's like this here, in Detroit and Atlanta and New Orleans. We're like in the stadium. So you're going to hear all of the background noise. I hope it's not too loud.
Well, and as always, we got to start with the question that we always start with when we bring you on. The inactives and actives, the notable ones. What do you have for us on that today?
To be honest, I don't think anything is notable. I mean,
okay.
I think it's kind of like, I got to look again, but I kind of looked at it. I think Ale Cahoe, one of the undrafted rookie linebacker who was active a few times, and Kane Madrano was inactive. That is not the case today.
Mm-hmm.
Kane Madrano is active yet again. It's good. It's good. Or just, it's notable. We know that we've been trying to see if Drake Jackson is going to do anything this season. While he was activated off of IR within that 21-day window, he is inactive today. George Fant has an injury, so he was going to be out anyway today. Trent Scott is inactive again, as is Jalen Holmes. DeMarcus Walker was activated from the practice squad, right? We saw TJ Mag last week as well. While, this was, kind of, that comment distracted me. I don't do no Bobby Wagner, Frankie Luvu bashing. We'll get to that in a minute. I don't do that. We don't do that here. So,
all right.
But we'll get to that. Not if you actually want an attempt at winning a football game. If you were trying to lose purposely, yes. But if you have a desire to win, at least try. That inactive list is what you roll
with. They're coming off a game where they were so close to getting the W against a team that's fighting for the number one seed in the AFC, and now Jayden is back. When you were around the team this week in the preparation for this game, did you notice a different feeling because they played pretty well Sunday night, and now the big man is back at quarterback number 5, Jayden Daniels?
No, I mean they are the same all the time when they were Win streak last year, the same. Lose streak, the same. They're the same. You know what I mean? They are the same. And they are the same whether Jayden is injured. I'm talking about for the week, right? Of course, Jayden got injured. What was that, against Seattle? It was like, it was bad, right? The emotions were there. But when you talk about the week of practice, they're always the same. Their attitude, how they're approaching the day from when we're there, it's the same. So it was the same now too. They deal with the high of the moment. They deal with the high of a win. They deal with the loss of the low of a loss. They deal with the low of their teammate getting injured. And by the time we're back there on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's the same.
This offense, for the first time, feels like it's almost going to be complete. We're talking about Jayden's back, Deebo, Terry are on the field. I mean, except for Austin Eckler, everybody that you expected to be a significant contributor is now going to be here. But you're going up against Minnesota with arguably the best defensive coordinator in the league or close to it, Brian Flores. How do you think they view and how do you view that challenge of facing a guy as creative and as excellent at scheming as Brian Flores?
Well, I think you just said it, right? Because of the injuries that this team has had, the only people that you're missing right now on offense is Austin Eckler and Luke McCaffrey. That's it. Mm-hmm. So you have almost I don't even want to say fully healthy, but you have an almost healthy enough offense. So to that point, you go back to your first question about the energy or attitude from after the Denver Broncos game. That's where you start to build. When everyone starts to talk about now of what you want to see and what this team has next year, it starts today. You want to see what they have? Now is where it starts, right? Because they could win the football game. They could lose the football game. But when you're talking about a mostly healthy offense where you're only missing Austin Eckler and Luke McCaffrey, you're going to see it today on offense. You're absolutely going to see it today on offense. Where you talk about let the young guys play, you're going to absolutely see it today on offense. So there should be unless you are not familiar with the roster, you will be seeing a lot of that today for the remainder of the season, truth be told.
And I love you bringing that up because that's been one of the points that I've been making on other shows that we've had about the rest of this season is about getting ready for 2026. Now, DC Slim makes an interesting point here. Number 5 will be rusty. I certainly will not blame Jayden Daniels if that's the case because he's just not thrown a lot of passes. He's not played a lot of plays this year because of these injuries. So what are we looking for from him that says either he's not rusty or that he's progressing to the level that we want him to progress this to today?
I mean, but that's what it is, right? We're talking about building for next season and seeing what you have. Everyone knows he needs the reps. The first game back, yes, you're going to be rusty because the speed of a real NFL game is not going to be the speed at practice. It's just not. And that's at anybody's practice. It's just not. It's going to be faster. But you're also going to have an arsenal of weapons that he hasn't had.
Yes.
All season long, you might as well say. So with that being said, right? I mean, and you still most kind of won't have it, right? Because Austin Eckler got hurt week 2, as did Noah Brown. But Noah Brown is here, right? So one thing that also needs to be reminded, and I said this on my show that I think so many people have forgotten already, is how this offensive line played against the Denver Broncos #1 defense last week. So if ever you were going to bring Jayden Daniels back, the key is you have a mostly healthy wide receiver group. And the other key is you have a mostly healthy offensive line that has been operating each week at full strength. Ever since Sam Cosmi got back week 7, we have seen that unit get better and better and better each week. They're learning, right? They're getting back used to each other. They didn't get enough credit last week. If you bring Jayden Daniels back, That's where you bring them back. So super key, that offensive line and those receivers. You saw how much juice, I call it the juice, Terry McLaurin had, how Deebo fed
Yes.
off of Terry. You rely a bit more on that run game. You even saw the tight ends getting into it last week, right? Terry brings that energy. Jayden just gonna bring the energy because he's just out there. Five just has that magic about him. So yes, definitely rusty. But if you're talking about 5, 6 things, left in the season and what this is going to look like or what it's going to start to look like, what you have, getting those additional reps, starts today.
To that point, since you brought up the receivers, you know that it was a frustration of a lot of people in the chat, myself, Wole, others. The Treylon Burks got as little opportunities as he got after he makes what for me is the catch of the year last week in that game against Denver. Now I know we got Noah Brown back and we've got all these receivers. Do you think we're going to see some opportunities for Treylon Burks, or is that going to be pretty limited now that you've got Noah Brown and Terry and Deebo?
Let them roll. Yep, you're going to see him.
Oh, I hope so.
I told you last week y'all were going to see him.
No, that's true. But for me, we didn't see him enough. See him enough.
There's only one football.
Yeah.
There's only one football, and when it got thick, you got to get down. When it got thick, you had to roll with it. And that's true. Again, going with the mostly healthy. This is somebody that is dealing with a finger who was broken in half, and he still made that catch. So let's give some grace here, you guys. Like, you still got
that's right.
Got to get the football. It's one football to go around with all these people, and let's see how it rolls. But you will definitely see him today for sure.
Let me put up Paul's question because I'm kind of interested when this guy gets healthy, and it's about Drake Jackson. So what is the situation with Drake Jackson at this point?
Just injury. They did activate him, right? They did activate him because he was in the 21-day window, and they had to, or else there was no chance for him to play this season. Once they IR'd him, there's only but so much season left. And going back to the point of you want to see what you have, okay?
Yes.
If this dude, if he stays injured, then you know what you have. Toodaloo, ta-ta, right? If at some point that he's able to play, you want to see what you have. So we'll see what happens, but he's certainly inactive today. And did not practice at all last week.
Last week was one of the best weeks we've got out of our running backs. Chris Rodriguez, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merity, and McNichols all had really all showed you really good things. It was one of C-Rod's better games. Do you think we're going to see similar with the running game this week? Are they going to use all three running backs again? Hopefully maybe use the other two a little more as well as what they use C-Rod. How do you view how they're going to use the running backs today?
Similar. I think it's going to be the same thing, running back by committee. Now, what I would like to see a bit more of, right, is an entire game of leveraging them. And so I'm not sure what this comment is. We're going to get back to this question because I want to make sure it's clear where it says Jackson and Walker are both active. Because it is Drake Jackson. He is not active today. Okay. DeMarcus Walker is, though. I want to make sure that's clear. Drake Jackson is inactive today. He's just on the active roster, but he's not playing today. Okay. Now, going back to your question, I still want to see a bit more of the run game. I think in the last couple of weeks, we've seen a good amount of it. In the first half, not as much in the second. So I'm hoping for a bit more consistency there of just still sticking to the run.
And to that point, DC Slim's talking about Jayden struggling against pressure. Brian Forrest loves to bring pressure. Doesn't that make the running game even more important to try to take the sting out of that?
Absolutely. Yes, and this play of this offensive line. Last week was a big game for the offensive line. I'm going to keep saying they did not get enough credit from national media. Local media definitely tried to talk about it, but national media absolutely isn't talking about what this offensive line did against the Denver Broncos last week against the rush. They didn't talk a lot about that, and the fan base isn't talking about it either. And we need to be getting that message out there. That offensive line, that if you're going to bring JD5 back, knowing that he struggles against pressure, this is how this offensive line needs to play, and it needs to continue to get better. No unnecessary penalties, silly penalties, right? No unnecessary false starts. Those things. Today isn't the day you need to beat yourself, right? You need to be doing what in starting field position. Because of Jayden's injury, him coming back, being a little rusty, as short of a field as possible is what he needs to be working with. You don't want to necessarily, if you don't have to stretch the field, please don't.
Let's switch to the defensive side of the ball because Minnesota presents an offense with a lot of weapons. Two good running backs, in my opinion. I'm a Hawkinson fan, both as a fantasy player and just in general. Think he's a really good tight end. And we know what Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison are capable of. We don't need to say any more about them. Justin Jefferson's arguably the best receiver in the league, or close to it. But they have struggled at quarterback. Now, we're not facing the quarterback they had last week, Max Prosper, who honestly was a deer in the headlights the whole game against Seattle. J.J. McCarthy, I said it last night on the Urban Sports Team show previewing this. He's almost become a figure of fun and a meme. People have been making fun of him. He's been struggling, but they did beat Detroit on the road with him at quarterback. He played well. So what are you looking at for this defense today against J.J. McCarthy? Because clearly that's the issue. They have the talent on offense. There's no question about it, but they've had troubles at quarterback.
What I'm going to be looking at, because I hear people talk about linebacker or secondary and all that, and all those things absolutely matter, especially as you just mentioned, these receivers that they have, as well as the running backs. There needs to be more of a conversation in areas of improvement of what we're doing in the interior defensive line. You know, most of the pass rushers on IR.
Yes.
That interior defensive line is a little more quiet than I would like it to be. So that pressure in the trenches, winning at the line of scrimmage, is going to be imperative today. It's going to be imperative. It's going to be very, very important if they want to get a shot. Now, here's one of the things that the defense did last week that I did like. Of course, it's not going to be hard for them to hold for 60 minutes, but when they could get that football back to the offense, they absolutely did. Again, most of this for me is going to be on the offense. Get that football back to them, but when you get that football back, you need to be scoring touchdowns. Today isn't the day for field goals. Today is not the day that we really want to see how good Jake Moody's leg is. As close to, if you got to go with field goal, as close to field goal as possible, scoring touchdowns, because that's actually something we haven't seen the Commanders do a lot of on offense at all season. Is really getting to the red zone with these touchdowns. So that's what needs to happen, especially with who you have out there today. Let me tell you this too. Let's get back to having fun, shall we? Okay? Let's get back to having fun, shall we? Let's get back to the space where there were no expectations. Just play good football.
Good point.
Just play good football. Play mistake-free football, and remember that you love it here. You love it in this space. Do that and do it well. You might just surprise yourself and come out with a win today.
Will Harris came back last week. There was a lot of talk about the communication. From your perspective, and you talked about it on your show you do Monday, Coaching from the Couch, that I would implore everybody to watch that show on Monday that she does. She usually does it with Wole. She didn't do it last week with Wole. The communication, it seemed like it was better, but what was your view on that? And do you think that's how crucial is that going to be today, given who these wide receivers we're facing?
1 second. I'm sorry. Hold on.
No problem. Candi's in demand, folks. You got to understand. Candi is one of the doyens of the press corps, and she is in demand. And that's why a lot of people like to stop and talk to her while she's doing our show, which we appreciate. We also appreciate that Candi is that's quite all right. You're one of the leaders of the press corps up there. We know what the deal is. So Will Harris communication. And it kind of goes, and I'm gonna put up DC Slim's comment here because it kind of goes to this. It says, how do you improve with the same people when you're losing in the same position? But we have seen some of that improvement.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, I appreciate everybody who watches the show, who watches me, who enjoys my questions, who enjoys my content, who enjoys my coverage. But I want to help to also ensure when comments are made, they're accurate. Right? Because there has been changes at these positions. I was the person who also encouraged everybody, look at the snap count, get familiar with the players, get familiar with the staff, understand who's playing what. To your point, George, Will Harris made a difference last week. And since Dan Quinn has taken over at defensive coordinator, we don't know what's going to happen today because the Minnesota Vikings have a very good receiver corps, to your point. Very good. But so far, you have not seen those same communication breakdowns. So when we say same, let's be clear. I want to be very, very clear because words absolutely matter and context absolutely matters. Some of the same issues that everyone was seeing under the previous defensive coordinator, you have not seen that as much or not nearly in the same respect as before. You just haven't. You absolutely haven't. You know what I mean? And I see, here's the thing. I would like everybody to be very, very careful what they wish for. Because if you ever have to watch this team's defense without Bobby Wagner, hey, all I'm going to say is be very, very careful what you wish for. Frankie Louvu, since Dan Quinn has been the defensive coordinator, each week you start to see a little bit of who everybody fell in love with last year in Frankie Louvu. Okay, so that's why I'm like, I'm going to ensure that people can see. If you're still seeing the same result, then I would suggest you get a very good lens wipe for your glasses or whatever it is you need, because there's absolutely a difference with Dan Quinn. Will Harris absolutely makes the communications challenges better, for sure.
To the point you made about Frankie Louvu and his improvements since Dan Quinn took over the play calling, Paul has a very interesting question. To you, were you surprised that DQ said he might be the defensive coordinator for next year? Because I will tell you, I was surprised.
I don't know. I wasn't surprised at all. Let me tell you why. Again, this goes back to you looking at the league. When you look at the league, Kyle Shanahan over there calling the plays.
Sorry to interrupt, but hello, Mama Waller.
Mom. Hey, Mom.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you for watching as always. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Definitely. Sean McVay called the plays. Kyle Shanahan called the plays. Liam Cohen called the plays. The week that Detroit and the Commanders played, Dan Campbell took over the offensive coordinator play calling. Listen, the head coach calling the plays is whatever. Ben Johnson, he's the offensive coordinator. He calls the plays in Chicago. It is not unheard of for the head coach to also be the coordinator on the side of the ball in which he is the strongest. It's actually quite normal. I was one of the people who was surprised that Dan Quinn wasn't going to be the defensive play caller. But I understand giving somebody, I understand. But you got to remember, I was also the one that thought he should have taken over play calling in week 4 against the Atlanta Falcons. And I asked the question publicly in week 7 against Dallas. So absolutely not was I surprised. I'm an advocate for it. I think he should because he's good. He's very good, actually. And that's what you should be strong at. Why not? You see other head coaches do it all the time. Because if you want sometimes in life when you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. So, hey, it is what that is. I wasn't shocked at all.
All right, DC Slim, I'm going to answer this because we haven't lost the same way the last 7. Not the last 2.
Yeah.
Not the last 2.
And George, thank you. You're helping to educate DC Slim because, hey, listen, no, they've lost. Yes, but definitely not lost the same way. Madrid, that game was lost because of Matt Gay. Matt Gay lost that game with missing those field goals. Let's be clear. And last week, hey, somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. And the Commanders absolutely could have won that football game until literally the very last play. So now, Come on, it hasn't even nearly looked as bad as it has. Let's be clear. They lost the game accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Has it looked as bad as it did that stretch in October? Oh my gosh, how embarrassing! No, it has not looked like that.
No, it's not the same as that.
It's not.
They were
like
uncompetitive except for one half of football.
Exactly.
Yes.
How look, people might say you lost. True, and I agree. But how you lose matters. Then there's 10, and I saw another comment. I think it was the 54th that talked about the confusion in the secondary. You haven't nearly seen as much confusion, if at any of that, since Dan Quinn took over as defensive coordinator. Yes, has the result been the same in terms of win-loss column? Absolutely. But have they looked like they did before he was the play caller? No, they don't look like that at all.
And let me pull on that thread a little more about DQ being the play caller next year, because we got two very excellent questions that are related to that. The 54th is asking here about Witt possibly returning, because you can't be. It's hard to be the play caller and do all this other stuff without a defensive coordinator. What do you think of that?
So you guys listen. They had this same setup in Dallas. Joey Jr. was the assistant defensive coordinator. This is what he's doing right now. And truth be told, because I know what he's doing, it ain't half bad. He's not the final decision maker on the play call or the scheme, but in terms of suggestions for adjustments and what needs to happen, understanding the personnel. So basically what they're doing right now, they can still do it next year. He's just it's this exact same setup they had. The only difference is Dan Quinn wasn't also the head coach. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
But in terms of the defensive staff, it's the same exact setup. So nothing has. You're seeing it work right now. Therefore, nothing has to change.
No, and the follow up from Paul is really good here, because it is an interesting question.
Right.
If Dan Quinn is the one that's essentially the defensive coordinator calling plays next year, how much of an input on who we draft in the draft, on who Adam Peters drafts, will he have? You'd expect it would be significant.
Yeah, just like it is right now.
Okay.
Like he has significant input. Like it's not. It's the preparation for the week, and he said this in the press conferences. It's really not that much different, you guys. It's really not.
All right, so
you see a difference out here. Let me be clear on that.
Yes.
But that's why it was so bizarre that it is so different. You understand what I'm trying to put down here?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah.
So, Candi, your keys for Washington in this game. We don't ask you to do a prediction because that's not what you do. It's fine.
Do predictions.
You don't do predictions. It's all right. But yeah,
what
is Candi Waller looking at for Washington win this day?
What I did do in Madrid was say I can't guarantee wins or losses, but I can guarantee you'll see a different effort. And that's what I'm going to guarantee again. You're going to see a different effort. And it's too bad that DC Slim hasn't seen a different effort in this team. But hopefully everybody else has seen a different effort in this team. And especially the defense since Dan Quinn has taken over. You've seen that different effort. Keys. Have fun. Don't overthink this. What just happened? I'm being serious, right? Have fun. Yeah. Don't overthink this. Do the common sense thing. That's all. Major key, and I really don't want you all to miss this. Starting field position is going to matter like nobody's business today. Because Jayden will be rusty. Right? He will be. So starting field position, check out that special teams unit is really going to matter today. Okay? From an offensive side, no mistakes. No mistakes. No mistakes. Protect the football. Just that whole time of possession. Own it. Make it yours. Make it your own. Right? On defense, hey, line of scrimmage, defensive line, interior. I want to hear Deron Payne's name more. I want to hear Javon Kinlaw's name more. I want to hear Johnny Newton's name more. I want to hear Eddie Goldman, Sheldon Day. You should be hearing their names all day today. Getting to JJ McCarthy. And I mean, if you end up hearing Frankie Luvu or Jacob Martin, that's cool too. But you need to be causing it needs to be a very long day for that young man. And I'm a JJ McCarthy advocate, but it absolutely needs to be a very long day for him. Okay? And create turnovers if possible. But hey, that hasn't really been happening. So you haven't been hearing the interior defensive line names really that much either.
No,
so
you haven't.
Get that. If you need to kick a field goal, get Jake Moody as close to the goalpost as possible, because today is not the day. I don't feel like today is the day to be experimenting to see if he can make anything over 50. I would like to not see that. And I hope that works.
This kicking situation, it's one of the.
I don't want to see it from a distance. I don't want to see it from a distance, George. I don't have time for that today, George.
That's why it's so great that you come on our show so often, because you're one of the only people that have been all over this special teams thing from the get-go. Yes. We really appreciate that.
Absolutely. When you're dealing with injuries and coming back from injuries, why stretch the field? You already, when it comes to kickoff, especially when it comes to kickoff, and punt returns as well, that start field position really matters. You're really getting a solid when you have to do a kickoff, because you don't have to go all the way back. You can come up a bit, but yeah, I mean, please, I really, really liked. I don't know if I shared this with you all last week, but when the Commanders went back for kickoff, it was so funny. I saw Deebo and Jeremy McNichols were back there, and I said, ooh, they trying to win this football game. I know how to use my clues. That's why I try to teach everybody, help everybody else how to use their clues. Deebo now, and I also knew that the Denver Broncos had an amazing special teams unit. That's why you really didn't see the Commanders get too much, especially on punt return. I said, as soon as Jalen Lane would get the football, they was like right here. I was like, please just catch the ball and stay put. So special teams matter in a week like this, where yes, Jayden is getting back acclimated. He's getting those reps back in. Do that young man a favor and get him as close to the red zone as possible so he can score those touchdowns.
Candi, we thank you so much for being part of this show, as always, on our pregame. It is great to have you again. So please tell all of those folks where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can hit you up on social media, because you just do a fantastic job.
Yes, thank you so much. And I always want to go back to DC Slim's comment. No one said that fans are clueless. I made a comment about your comment, DC Slim, about what you were saying. Let's keep it a buck. It wasn't us fans. I went directly to your comment, DC Slim. You're one fan out of a million of you all amazing fans, yourself included. So please don't bucket your comment and yourself in with everybody else's. I was talking specifically about you and your comment, just like I would everybody else's in there, anybody else's in there. It wasn't about us fans. It was about you, DC Slim, and your comment. The fans know, and I know that you know as well, that and put up Santiago's thing, get him Candi. Like, so you call me like Doc Walker. I'm gonna call it straight. I didn't say nothing about us fans. I only said something about you, DC Slim, in your comment, okay?
But it's all love. It is
all love all the time. And I love each and every one of you all too, but you gotta call me straight. I didn't say nothing about fans. I said something about you.
Anyway, let everybody know where they can watch your stuff.
Everybody at CWall SE on X. Make sure you're subscribed to Bowie TV and Bowie TV Sports across all platforms. You all can find me everywhere. Go CEO CWall, like George said, Candi Waller on all platforms. At the words of Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, I ain't hard to find. So you can find me, okay? And hey, listen, go ahead and have some fun. Let's try. Unless it starts getting bad, then I'll be like, oh, well, it's kind of bad. It's kind of sad. Because isn't it crazy that they could actually have a chance to make the playoffs? Isn't that something?
Well, they can only win. They can only do it by winning their division, and they need snookers at this point. They need a lot of stuff to happen, including winning the rest of these games.
Yeah, but we're gonna deal with 1 week at a time. But I will say this, and I hope this gives you all some promise about what they're trying to do. And you all are welcome. Really, y'all are. And I really love doing this. And I'm glad that you all enjoy it as well. It made all the sense in the world of why they were trying to get everybody back. Because for a minute there, I was like, why? They hurt, But now it makes sense. They still have a chance. And I'm like, oh, they do still have a chance, miraculously, but still a chance nonetheless. So whatever. But enjoy the game. Hopefully it goes well for them.
Thank you so much, Candi. We really appreciate you. As she said, check her out on Bowie TV, all her platforms. Especially check out Coaching from the Couch. Great show, Monday night, usually Monday nights, and often with our fearless leader Wole. It's a great collaboration. You should be checking that out every week.
Yes, definitely. And thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you, Candi.
All right, Candi, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Candi Waller. That's what makes this the best pregame show around, is that we get Candi Waller to join us every week and give it to you straight like it is. Glen, welcome. Thank you for helping me out. Thank you for getting us off the ground today. What are you thinking about? How are you feeling about this game today against the Minnesota Vikings?
Well, glad to be here, man. I'm just excited to see this offense click. I'm not worried about playoffs. I'm not worried about none of that stuff. As DC Slim said, I'm not worried about false hope. I just want to see what this team could have been, right? What we expected this team to be in August, right? We saw this team in August, and we had high expectations and high hopes. We saw we've been seeing a step in the right direction with the offensive line. Now you got people healthy. We saw a step in the right direction last week with Terry McLaurin making great plays, right? If we had those plays throughout the season, might not have lost to the Bears, may not have lost to everybody else, right? So you're looking just for improvement, man. There's no high hopes, no false hopes. I'm not clicking my heels 3 times and wish I was back in Kansas. None of that stuff. Just want to see what this team can perform and see if this team can play. All I'm looking for today, George, is to end this 7-game losing streak. Nothing more, nothing less, right? There's nothing more, nothing less. No high hopes. Let the chips. Here's a cliche for you, DC Slim. Let the chips fall where they may, right? We just want to see this team just get a win. I mean, that's all. As a fan and as a person who covers this team, I just want to see this team get a W. The organization needs it. This team needs it going into this stretch that they go into. And you play a Minnesota Vikings team who is not good. Let's be honest, right? Minnesota, I've seen this team play about 6 times this year. I don't care who's at quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, the other guy. There's frustration in this offense on Minnesota, from Justin Jefferson to Mason to all Addison. Yeah. We talk about these great wide receivers, because guess what? Their offensive line had played terribly against some of the worst defenses in this league. So you have a defense who's coming together. And so we'll see. I just want to see Washington perform, man. And when whatever happens. I want to see them perform. Today, no more victories. Let's get a real dub.
By the way, Paul, you got to understand, Glen is the hardest working man in the central region of Virginia. If he ain't coaching, if he ain't he's working basketball games for Prince George. He is the hardest working man at church. He's everywhere doing the job, and yet he still finds time to join us, and we appreciate him so much. I'm with you. You're right about the moral victories, because that's what the last 2 weeks have felt like, and it's time to win. It's time to win. It's time to get this thing turned around, in the sense that we don't want to be in here 3.5 hours from now saying, well, they did this well and that well and didn't win. I mean, because doggone it, they should have won the last 2 games. Let's be honest. They should have won the last 2 games, and had they done so, they'd still be in the fight with a legitimate chance instead of a theoretical one to be in the playoffs. And you're talking about a quarterback who he may have confidence in himself. Everybody has been pointing and laughing at him for weeks, ever since he called himself 9 and then stunk it up. Everybody's been making fun of this guy. They got to take advantage of him today. They've got to get – Tandy's like, well, we're not getting a lot of turnovers, so I don't want to talk about it, which I don't blame her. This is a guy you got to turn over today because he's going to give you a chance to do so.
Yeah, you got to have turnovers today. I think this team needs turnovers. Dan Quinn and his defense need to confuse J.J. McCarthy. They need to be able to the offensively, Cliff Kingsbury them need to do. I heard you talking to Candi earlier, George. They need to run the football, right? All three hit all three facets. I mean, Chris Rodriguez last week was busting holes and getting big chunks. I think he averaged over 5 yards a carry when he was touching the football. So you have to be able to do that. Control the offense. Go back to what they – I think today, too, I mentioned it last week, with Jayden back at the helm, I think we'll see more of that hurry-up offense that Washington has been accustomed to, which helped them a lot last year, which would navigate the Minnesota defense to keep them off guard. They have to make substitutions as quick as possible. I just don't think that we need to see the referees holding the ball up, but they need to move as quick as possible and to get things done and situated. And the defense needs to be able to lock down, whether it's man-to-man, whether it's zone today. Dan played a lot of zone last week. Well, zone may not help you this week. You may need to go a little bit of man-to-man, may need to do a little cover two shell, even go dime nickel in some situations to be able to confuse a young quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. I think I brought up on a previous podcast or previous show that he needs to get like Bill Belichick. When Bill Belichick was playing a rookie quarterback, you knew that he was going to confuse that rookie quarterback. That rookie quarterback was going to have a tough day at the office. And let's say somebody say, "Oh, J.J. McCarthy's not a rookie." Yeah, he is. He didn't play last year. He's a rookie.
Exactly.
Right? He didn't play last year. He's a rookie. It hasn't played much this year, right? So this is the opportunity for Dan Quinn to show people as DC, because he said this week he may continue as the defensive coordinator. I read that twofold, George. I read that he may not have anybody he trusts, right now. And he also thinks, if I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired on my own means, not nobody else, right? Running the defense. And that's how defensive coordinators are. But he has to confuse J.J. McCarthy, and they have to be able to contain, right, Justin Jefferson. He's coming off of 3 targets last week. Jefferson,
he's not happy.
And he's not happy. So you got to be able to frustrate him early and not allow him to get confident and have a big game. And watch out for the deep ball. We'll see the defense. We'll see the deep ball early in this game. The defense will definitely see the deep ball early in this game.
Well, you've got Glen's keys. Chat, give us your keys. DC Slim, let me answer this question this way. You say losing the same way. Are we talking about when they were getting blown out every game? We talking about the last 2 weeks where, but for a play or two, they win? Because it's different, and you know it's different. So which way are we talking about here? Because if they lose and get blown out, then I think you got a point about Dan Quinn and everybody's in trouble. Like if they go gallivanting, but it's not. That's the other thing. He said we've done the same thing for 7 games and lost. No, we haven't. We got blown out in 4 games in a row, and then we've lost by 4 points combined the last 2 weeks. So it's not the same. It's not the same. Not even close.
I want to answer DC Slim, George. Here's what's the same, DC. The same is that the bus is going in the same direction, but you don't have the same people in the same seats, right? Those 7-game losses, you have different people in different seats. Today's supposed to be different, right? Today's supposed to be different for the fact that the offense is what you're supposed to have the starting offense. Defensively is not what you had, and I agree with that. 300 yards a game, we can't give up 300 yards because we gave up 400 one game, gave up 500 another game. Defense has to stop, but guess what? You saw improvement last week, not in the number of yards because yards sometimes can be misleading. This team was misleading in yards last year, but you saw the intensity in this team. A team that is out had nothing to play for, right? A team that's out, but you saw the guys put forth much energy, right? And that's not a cliche, but they put forth energy. In the last 7 games, we have seen. Like him, love him, don't care about Dan Quinn. You have seen a difference in the energy in this team. Have it produced the same result? Yes, it has. The losses have gone, but have they came closer to wins? Yes. Now here's the question: we can ask the question: is that because of the team as a whole? Is it Marcus Mariota? Is it Marcus Mariota? Is it the play calling? Improvement. We take improvement. Everybody's improvement is selective, right? If I make one step, I use this analogy all the time when I'm talking to young kids, people in church. If I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day, right, and today I smoke 2 less, that's still improvement if I'm trying to quit, right? If I'm a person who's out of shape and I'm trying to lose weight and I lost a half a pound today instead of a full pound, that's still improvement, right? So you got to look at improvement as small measurements, not as big measurements. And I think this team has made some small measurements, and hopefully the small measurement will turn into a big win or into a win. Because let's be honest, after Minnesota, you got Philadelphia Eagles twice, right? You still have teams. So I take the improvement. Improvement is crazy in some people's eyes. Like I said, we know this team is not a playoff. I don't even want to hear the P word. I think I said that a couple weeks ago, George. I don't want to hear playoffs. I just want to see a team that plays and win all facets of the football game, which we have not done. Right? We have not done one. We have not won all facets. We have not. This team has not had a complete game all year. That means special teams, offense, and defense. And the only one I could probably think is close was probably the San Diego game, where if we remember they were down in the San Diego game by 10.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Santiago, thank you for the super chat. We win if we run the ball because JD5 will probably be rusty. I'm certainly with you there, Santiago. I want to see the sort of the same thing we saw last week, except more for each guy. I want more opportunities for C-Rod, JCM, and McNichols. So I'm absolutely with you on that. Here's the crazy thing, because they just put up the odds up there on the TV. I've got the pregame show on. Washington's lost 7 games in a row, and they are favored on the road. That is how bad Minnesota's been. So, for me, this is a game about. I mean, I think Candi talked about it. She's mostly focused on the offense, and I do agree with her on that. We need to be moving this football, getting into the red zone and getting touchdowns. She doesn't want to see a lot of Jake Moody today. I don't blame her. I think she's got a really good point on that. But the special teams, I think that's the other thing. I think spot on about field position is going to be huge in this game. And it has been and one of the things Washington's done well all year, even in this terrible season, is they've been pretty darn good on special teams. They've had the better field position pretty consistently. Denver's one of the only times they haven't. And still move the football against a great defense. There needs to be a lot of points from this offense today. They need to keep rolling. DC Sims says we go out and lose by 14. Look, if McCarthy plays well, and if McCarthy plays well, they got the weapons to do that to us, DC Slim. But I'll tell you, as bad as that offense has been, that line of theirs and the quarterbacks, if they're gallivanting up down the field on us, I think a lot more people are going to move to your position about Dan Quinn and everybody else. We're getting towards the end of the game, so let's make some predictions and get some fantasy players. Glenn, you first.
Yeah, prediction today, I think Washington wins 27-24. I think it's still another close one. I'm like DC Slim. I'm not 100% faith in the defense. I think the defense does need to make a stop. But, again, offensively, I think they will be able to put up points today. Will Jayden be rusty? Yeah, but I think he'll make plays with his feet that we hadn't seen. Fantasy player of the game today, he was almost a fantasy player last week, but I think Zach Ertz redeems himself. I think Jayden likes Zach Ertz. And I think Zach Ertz will redeem himself today for the touchdown catch, for the miss of the touchdown catch the other night. So I think player of the game will be Zach Ertz. Again, Washington wins 27-24. I said by 3, I think.
All right. Hey, out there in the chat, let's get your predictions as well, real quick. For me, I'm with Taj. I think Washington should really wear this team out. So I'm going to be really positive and go 31-14 Washington. And I'm going to go the same route I went last week. I'm going to go Chris Rodriguez as a fantasy player. Can see him getting in the end zone again and producing for us as well. So thank you all for all your comments and stuff. Thank you for joining us today on the pregame show. Don't forget, tune into our postgame show directly after the game. We'll be on YouTube and Facebook. Subscribe to this podcast, all your fine podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, everywhere else. Throughout, as always, we appreciate everybody who watches. Remember, like and subscribe to this podcast as well. We appreciate that also. Do that, and we're going to see you at the end, right after the game is over, not more than maybe 5-10 minutes after the game, you will be on breaking everything down for you. Myself, Glen, maybe even Wole will be with us as well. And we appreciate everybody who's watching. This is all Burgundy and Gold everything for ages. You dig? Deuces. We are out.